Oh, here is the problem. You can hear me now, can't you?
Give it 7 more seconds, 10-second delay or
Okay.
something.
Well, I'm gonna keep on going because I think I
Yep,
found the problem. Okay.
cool, cool.
Thank you. Yeah, let me know if you can't. And Tara, thank you for being on LinkedIn as well. If you could type in and let me know if you can hear me now. Oh my gosh, y'all missed so much juiciness, but that's okay because this is where we start. We always talk about.
Yep, we hear you.
Yay. Okay. Thank you so much, Ramon. See, that right there is the beauty of live. That right there is the beauty of people that are listening saying, hey, guess what? Your mic is on mute. So I appreciate that. Welcome again. And here we go. What we're talking about today is how to build resilience. And I was talking about the reason why this resiliency is so super important and why I'm leaving you with strategies and tips today. So for all of you all that heard it already, guess what? I'm just going to go back and clue in the folks who are listening on. So welcome back to the party. And thank you so much for that, Ramon and everybody else. The reason is because I mentioned that I'm a certified life leadership and executive coach, right? And so people always say, well, what are some topics that people come to you for? Because I don't even know what the deal is. How do I know that I need you? And so one way to be able to do that is not only to talk about, hey, when you're stuck, because people don't understand that either. They don't yet resonate with the fact that I'm not yet moving and there's so much more for me. People might listen in like you all, and they might be saying, you know what, you tell us how amazing and how great we are all the time, but how now do I bounce back when so much adversity has come to me? And this really comes with entrepreneurs. It comes with power women that I work with that are really ready to level up. But in this notion of how to build resilience is something that I truly believe is that we are going to lean into today. And I want to hear all of your comments and how you do it, right? How you do it. So Sandra's so funny. She said, I was trying to read your lips. I was trying to read your lips when I was on mute. And I think that's hilarious. Thank you for the smile. And then Dora Maria said, yes, me too. I appreciate you guys really leaning in and listening intently. So the closed captioning couldn't work because I wasn't talking. The system couldn't hear. All right, you guys. So I want you to write down because I always love to give soul work. Today's soul work is really about resiliency. When I close my eyes and I think about resiliency, one of the things that I see, I love imagery, is a rubber band. And I see this rubber band because when you pull it back and you give it that tension, imagine all of this adversity that is really stretching us and pulling us, all of these things from our work, our life, our home that are really just coming at us. Yes. What about business goals that you had that are not being hit? What about the fact that it's the end of Q1 and now you're pressing yourself on all the things you didn't do and all of the things that are about to grab you as you walk into the remaining quarters of the year? What about all of the things that your mind is telling yourself on why it is that you're in this place, and then boom, you let it go, and what happens? So many things can happen. And so what I want you to write down right now is the word facts, FACT. And today I want to give you some things that I'm going to call as facts that I know work because I've seen them, I've coached them, and I've also experienced them. And then I want to hear from you all as we go through, just like Ramon did right there, is to pop one in whenever you would like, because this really truly is not only coaching, but it's also cocktails to celebrate the greatness of who it is that you are, and then juicy conversations. And then I am going to do my best to pause for the cause and allow room for you all to come in. I'm pausing. Okay. Now, facts, FACTS. Let me also put it on the screen for those of you all who are watching live as well. So, the F of what we're talking about today is focus on the small wins. How do you build resiliency? How do you build the bounce back? One of the strategies that you could consider doing is focusing on your small wins. Now, Lolita, why is that important? Why is that important? Because sometimes celebrating the successes along the way are really what helps you to bounce back and be able to catch your step. Sometimes it's in remembering what it is you have done versus what it is you haven't done. Remember, I talked to you about quarter one, and sometimes when people do the reflection on what this means for quarter one or quarter two or quarter three, you think about all of the things that you didn't do and should have done and could have done. But what about if we talk about the things that we did do? Because sometimes they didn't make your list. But sometimes when you look out and you look further at what your end goals are for the end of December, you recognize that, guess what? All of the wins that I had is actually moving me toward that. But I chose a different path because of whatever reason, but I'm still moving toward that goal. I want you to celebrate the small wins. How do we ensure our bounce back is helping us to bounce back? I love that. Facts, FACTS. That F was about focusing on the small wins. All right. So in this moment, what do I want you to do for a little bit of soul work is I want you to think about what is the small win that I've had yesterday? What's one small win I had yesterday? And if you can really think back, what's the small win I had the day before? Now, if you're saying, Lolita, guess what? I don't know, because I'm also, I think I told you guys that I teach at Morgan State University. And I teach intro to business for non-business majors. And these amazing scholars that we have, I start every single class off with, let's go around the room and talk about our small win, one small win that you've had. And I'll tell you, over time, in the beginning, they were like, well, I don't know. I didn't really have one today. No, yes, you do. So we'll sit here and we'll wait until you choose which one of the amazing things that happened yesterday you want to talk to us about. And now there's an expectation of that. So I share that with you because when we're talking about this rubber band and this tension and it's pulling back, because you want to be ready for the comeback, the bounce back on work, on life, on home, then one of the things is to get acclimated to celebrating your small wins. But what does that mean? It means that you need to talk about them. It means you need to write it down. So whether or not you have on your wall inside your house for your entire family to write down a small win every day, you might not have that. We do that at my Women's Weekend Renewal Retreat that I hope you are already coming to. But what you can do is you can also put it on your calendar. Write it on your calendar. Write it in your CCNC journal. Write down just one small win. Do you journal? If you journal, just write it at the top of your page. There's so many opportunities to do that. You have a notes section on your page. I'm giving you all of these opportunities because just in case there are excuses coming out of your brain right now on why you don't have time to do that, I want to remind you that you do have time. You do have time to do it, because what we're saying is that when you're pulling back on that tension, this is all of the adversity, all of the things that are happening to you in your life right now. These are all of the things that are happening to you in your life right now, from work, from life, from home. And what I'm suggesting to you is that we can build our resiliency even in the midst of circumstance. Your bounce back, when you release that, because you're going to release it, because you want to absolutely propel beyond where it is that you are, you will release. And when you choose to release, guess what? Your bounce back is going to be super amazing. I love that. Okay, so let's continue to go. Anybody got anything else on that? Because we will come back. Okay, next, addressing fear and uncertainty. Addressing fear and uncertainty. Now, if we were in a closed session, I would say, talk to me a little bit about a fear that you have. If we were in a coaching session, I would say, talk to me a little bit about one fear that you had. We will go through an exercise likely on you naming that fear, us having a great conversation with that fear right there and being able to bubble up and pull up some things. And then we would then notice what are some uncertainties that are happening right now. But one, the goal of doing that soul work is to identify what it is, to really have you start speaking to it, to align on what it is that you can do, because the bounce back is what we really want. But sometimes it's sitting in the uncertainty and recognizing what that is, that you see your fear, you acknowledge that fear, and then you recognize that fear doesn't take you, you take it. You are in charge. Today, we're talking about pulling back the rubber band and then walking, talking, and behaving in this amazingness. Amazingness is, that's what I was trying to say. Amazingness of resiliency. You know, coping skills such as mindfulness and relaxation techniques and all of these things can help us in this spirit of kind of addressing this fear and uncertainty. So you talk about soul work. I talk to you about some of the soul work that I do with my clients, but what you can do inside of this moment is think about in the course of your day, right? Just this day right here. We don't even want to think outside of this. I want you to close your eyes and think about all of the tasks that you have in front of you today. Because if you're like me, then you definitely have a to-do list. And let's talk about the one that you put at the bottom, because that's the one that's going to take the most time. And that's the one you're not really ready to go in yet. You're trying to do all the small things. And then you put that one that's going to take up the concentration of your time, or it could be something that you've been procrastinating. I have one in my mind, and mine equals a paper that I know is due on Tuesday. And I had put everything in front of it, but Lolita, get on it, right? So I'm going to leverage that because I want to give you an example of what this is. So now the work could be, Lolita, what is it that continues to push this to be on your to-do list every single day and you haven't yet taken an action toward it? Think about that in your business. Think about that at home. Think about that with your children. This is an exercise that you can do with your children as well. So if I came back to me and I want you to come back to you on what it is that you just thought about that is last on your to-do list, and your mind is first, but the action is last, which is why it's been on there day in and day out. I want you to think about what has been holding you back. Why? Because today we are talking about the power of resilience. Today we are talking about strategies on how, when you release that thing, because it will be released, Lolita, you have to turn in the paper actually on Monday, I think it is, by midnight. And if that's the case, then you only have a couple days and you're traveling this weekend. You fly out tomorrow. How exactly is all of that going to happen? And you know it's going to take multiple days to do this assignment. So now, some people work well under pressure. I do work well under pressure, but we can help that. And why would you put all of these barriers in front of you? We got to get to the root. This is about being able to bounce back effectively and not stumble, not fall, but I will fall. And I know that because the days are crunching down. So what is the action to address what is holding you back? What is the fear that is in the way? What is the uncertainty that you need to solve, Lolita? And let's get to it. We want to focus on what the strengths are that we have, absolutely, but we want to get down to the nitty gritty. Today is about refocusing where it is that you are. Yes, we did the F, we did the A. Today, we're going into the C, everybody. And if you've been around me for any time, if you have the t-shirt or the sweatshirt, then you already know what I'm going to say. Clarity plus confidence equals commitment. Clarity plus confidence equals commitment. Commitment to action in this case right here. I want you to commit to your action. Today, we're talking about resiliency. We're talking about how to be resilient, how to bounce back when adversity hits you. And today, clarity plus confidence equals commitment. Lolita, what does that mean? Well, it could mean a number of things, but when you are clear on where it is that you're going, when you're clear on the things that we've talked about for these facts, when you're clear that you are ready for the bounce back because that tension is pulling you, and you have decided that today is going to be the day that you release that rubber band of life of you, then Lolita, you will propel forward. How will you stand at the end of that? Who will be in your community? I want you to be clear on what is it that you want on the other side. Then I want you to add in your confidence because you do have it. I want you to step up, shoulders up. It's time to walk into this thing because that equals the commitment to action. Lolita, are you committed to action? Are you clear on why it is that this paper is important? And what is the gap if you don't turn it in with excellence? I want you to grab the confidence and the strengths that you have. I want you to add those two together. And now I want that to be the commitment to action. I want you to say it out loud to all of these people, write it on down, because now that equals accountability. Commitment to action, commitment to accountability, commitment to knowing that it is your season. If you listen to me, a couple weeks ago, we talked about this is your season and how to make the most of your season. How to make the most of your season. One of those things is to recognize that the rubber band is being pulled and pulled and pulled, and before it breaks you, because we are not here to allow it to break you. Absolutely not. You will bounce back. You will bounce back. Now, listen, before I got here, I talked to my friend Webster. And Webster's dictionary said to me a couple of things when I looked up, what is resiliency? Let's talk about this because Lolita defines it, but who am I, right? Just the person that you listen to once a week. But the capability of a strained body to recover its size and shape, right? after deformation caused, especially by compressive stress. Now, I just want to just hold on right there. I want you to apply this now to you. The capability of a strained body, imagine that being you, to recover in size and shape, meaning to recover just the way that you are, but just a little bit better, to recover in the size and shape after it has been deformed some type of way by compressive stress. Yes, remember, we're talking about that tension. We're talking about that tension, that compressive stress that is there. And now the second piece is this resilience is an ability to recover from or adjust easily to misfortune or change. Yes, change is coming. So I want the ability to recover from and adjust easily, because one of the things I talked about is, yes, when you release that, that's where you releasing you. Do you see yourself right there? Yes, is you releasing you. We're going to release it, but now you're going to propel beyond where you were standing, and you're getting back to this size and shape, but just a little bit differently. So now these strategies are helping you to be able to do that, should you so choose. The F, the C, the F, the A, the C. Now we're going to the T, but before we do that, daily life experiences. Oh, I love that topic. Love it. I talk to my friend Webster. Absolutely. I talk to my friend Google all the time. Listen, sometimes we got to talk to our friends so that we can be clear where it is that we're going and how we're leading folks. Why? Because there's power in our words, and our words have power. And there's someone who is listening in today who are writing these strategies down and saying, guess what? Lolita has shifted me to a renewed action. And as a result, I'm grabbing these facts and I'm going to choose one. And I love that. Daily life experiences says yes at resilience. Yes at resilience. Let me take a pause before I continue going. AV from Spain said, love you. Your affirmations helped me. I appreciate that, AV from Spain. And you know, AV, this is a pause, because on Coaching Cocktails and Conversations, no matter where it is that I am, I talk about this cocktails part. And the cocktails is not so much about what you're sipping on, it's more about celebrating the greatness of who it is that you are. So I want to take a moment as we build resiliency to also give a highlight and a cheers to folks that are right here live. And AV from Spain, I met her on Breakfast with Champions. I believe she was listening to me on Breakfast with Champions, which is the audience, one of the audiences that is here right now. And she, I don't know if it was there or for Trials to Triumphs, but either one of those, she listened and she said, she contacted me about affirmation. She heard me talking about affirmations, and I sent her some affirmations. AV, are you here? Live?
Yes, girl.
Oh,
Yes,
good.
yes, yes. I'm live. I'm listening, and I'm taking notes. I'm taking notes on post-its, and my new post-its are on my wall.
Oh, I
Yes.
love it. AV, before I mess up the story anymore, can you remind me about when you wrote to me, it was as a result of, where did you hear me talking affirmations?
Okay, so I knew you from an interview with René Marino. So that's the first time I saw you ever. So it was an interview with René Marino.
One second. Let me. Okay,
Okay.
go ahead.
So in this interview, I saw you and I said, "Who is this woman?" And so René Marino is also the one that told me about Clubhouse. So it's thanks to her that I knew this platform. So
Ah,
then I started to go to your 24-hour rooms, 48 hours
yeah.
rooms. And that's how we met. But you didn't know me at that time. I was a listener. I wasn't a speaker at that time.
Yes. Okay. Renee Marino. Thank you so much for calling her out. Okay. Yes, I love it. I did an interview with Renee, and AV saw me there. I don't know why I'm repeating that, but just because it's all about building resiliency. So that is so great. The point is that AV reached out to me in my back channel about the interview, and she called out something on the interview. And then I sent her some affirmations, and she started writing them, and she wrote me back her affirmation. It was so freaking good. And then I met her live, because then she came to a live event that I went to in in July, which we're going to again for True Visionaries. You guys are absolutely invited. Hit me on the back channel in order to talk about that. And then look at these connections that's making. Sometimes in the midst of adversity, when you're pulling, right? Then sometimes your bounce back is so much better because you didn't even recognize that in your pull, in this tension, that you were being surrounded by a community that was there for you in your bounce back. So Avi didn't even recognize that she didn't put herself in that position. Well, she didn't put herself in that position, but if she wasn't in that position, she might not have even watched the interview with Renee Marino and I. And then look, when she released that tension right there, guess what? Her bounce back was so much more, was stronger. Her bounce back was stronger because look at the folks who were there that she didn't know before. And Avi lives in Spain. How powerful. I super love that. Another thing Avi said, Avi did not even know that she was going to be on blast right here. But the other thing that Avi also said was she wasn't yet a speaker. And so what that does when you're building resiliency is clarity plus confidence equals commitment. And so when you're committed to all of those things, guess what? Your confidence is increasing. Not only is she speaking now, but she is moderating now. And it's freaking awesome at the confidence that now she can feel. I can see it's about the bounce back. And believe me when I tell you, your bounce back is here. Okay, let's hurry up and go through because I only have a couple minutes. We are committed to making sure at the top of this hour, you have everything that you need. The T is about trust building through relationships. Well, hello, I just talked about that with Avi, right? You build trust through relationships. The relationships that you bring, you continuously build that trust. And now your level continues to increase. Your level continues to power up. We're talking about resiliency and now this community of trust because you've chosen to build these amazing relationships. Don't sleep on the relationships that are here. I met Avi through socials. Wow. I met a number of you all through socials. Make your connections work. The S is about support plus feedback equals your win-win. Support. I can use Avi as another example. Avi, you got to make sure you love this podcast episode. I tell you, the support plus then feedback. When I met with Avi, we went to breakfast together and we were just talking about feedback. Not only I had done a number of things at that event, but also feedback that I gave to Avi because of what I was able to see in her and see the amazing growth in her. That right there equals a win-win because why we collaborate versus compete. Why am I competing with anybody? It's about collaboration and helping us to continue to move up. Why? Because we all will experience the rubber band effect. And the effect that I want you guys to think about and apply to you all is the fact that you will bounce back. And when you do, how are you leveraging your facts, which I just went through today, in order to ensure that you will have a perfectly amazing comeback? All right. That's what this is all about today. I only have 2 minutes, so I can take one more person if you have anything. Okay, that sounds great. And I want to just highlight the user that said, yes, collaborate instead of compete. I love that. And then the other Facebook user said, yes, in making your connections work. I love that Jackie said, I talk to my friend ChatGPT all the time. I love that. Get into it, you guys, if you haven't, because there's some amazingness that's happening over there as well. Kind of scary a little bit at how technology goes, but sometimes we have to keep up with technology, at least touch the water with your toe to make sure that you understand what is happening because artificial intelligence is moving so quickly. And sometimes that could be what you need inside of your bounce back. It can actually help you. And I absolutely love that. And thank you to the LinkedIn user who said, hey, Lolita, this was such a great segment. I appreciate each and every one of you all today. We talked about how to build resilience. If you think that this is helpful to anybody, please share it out. Make sure you do come back. Make sure you like Coaching Cocktails and Conversations, the podcast on all streaming platforms, as well as Breakfast with Champions, because you'll have both of those. And I'm a co-host on that as well. Hit me on all socials. And if you are ready to get coached all the way up or attend my Women's Weekend Renewal Retreat, I will absolutely love to have you. It's the 3rd weekend in September. Thanks, everybody. Crystal, you are up.
Good morning.